Welcome back to Smokin'Licious, where we share with you our wood-fired and grilling techniques with a wood chip product. I'm Donna, and I'm in Olean, New York in America. And today we're going to be featuring our peppers, sweet peppers today, not our spicy ones, but we're going to be taking our standard sweet bell pepper and we're going to be charring these using only hot coals. So get ready for a special technique that will develop into our perfect charred pepper dip. We're preparing to go out to the grill to do our charred process on our peppers, but before we can do that, I always like to de-stem and do a little bit of removal of seed and membrane in the peppers, and that's just so that they don't burst per se on the grill. I prefer to have mine stay as intact as possible. So when you buy peppers, as you'll see, I have 3 different colors: orange, red, and yellow. They will come in variation in terms of their stem. They may have a full stem on them and they may not have anything. So if you do have one with a full stem, you can just kind of do a twist, pull, and then you can take your finger or a sharp knife or a spoon and you can just do a loosening of some of the seeds and membrane. Do not be concerned with getting everything out of the pepper. That's not really important at this stage. Once they're done and they're all soft from the grilling and the charring process, you'll be able to remove the excess membrane and the excess seedings that are still inside the pepper. So just get some out just so that there's not a big explosion on the grill. But that's a fairly simple process. You want to leave them intact though. Try not to cut through the pepper when you de-stem, when you have to do any kind of cutting to it. Just try to be gentle, do pull and release, and then use your knife or your spoon just to cut into the actual stem section. And that's all the prep you'll need to do for these. Now you can elect to put a little drizzle of oil if you like. I really don't see that as being needed. The peppers are going to lay on the hot coals and the coals will be doing the job of tenderizing them. So I'll finish cutting these up and then we'll meet at the grill and get these ember fired. So one of the great things about doing an ember cooking or charring to a vegetable that's thick-skinned like a pepper is that you can use residual coals left over from another cooking event. This is where you get the best value out of your investment in charcoal and wood. So what I've done is I've finished another cook and I've let these go down to just hot embers. Now I have a couple larger pieces, and if you do have that, you can just kind of move them to the side. We just want them for the heat part of it. But you can see my glowing embers, and that's all I'm going to use to cook my peppers today. So what you'll do is just gently place your peppers right in those embers. Now some people say, oh man, they're gonna just taste like an ashtray, but they don't. Because this is a thick-skinned vegetable, it works really well with things like peppers and eggplant at just charring the outside, and that means it's going to blacken it, but it's going to give it some great flavor. We're going to be turning these in about 5 minutes. It is best if you have a lidded unit to go ahead and put the lid on. Just make sure you have a full vent opening and a full vent opening on the top and bottom, and that we'll check in 5 minutes and give them a quick turn, and then we should be able to take them off and get ready to make our dip. So after preparing our peppers by removing the membrane and the seeds and just reducing their size down to pieces, I put them into a food processor. Now you can feel free to use a blender as well, and you certainly can do this step by hand. If you do make the dip by hand, all of the peppers will need to be coarsely chopped. I'm going to process mine. So I've placed them all in the processor. I'm now going to put the lid on and I'm only going to pulse them. And you'll pulse them just until they're coarsely chopped. And this would be just about what you would do if you were hand preparing. So now we're ready to put in the other ingredients to balance our charred pepper. So first in is going to be 1 cup of golden raisins. Now these I have coarsely chopped, and you just want to try to spread them around the processor a bit because raisins, as you know, have a sugar level that makes them a bit sticky. To that, I'm also going to add 3 tablespoons of capers. Now my capers I have rinsed well, and I have made sure that most of the water has been removed. Capers, as you know, are salty on their own. So I will tell you, I am not going to add any additional salt to my dip, but you can add some coarse salt if you prefer a much stronger or saltier flavor to your dip. Then I will be adding olive oil. And then finally, fresh chopped oregano. And I like to get it from my garden when I'm able. When it's in the off season, then of course I look for fresh in the market. And again, we're going to pulse everything. And once you have it pulsed a few times, it's going to look a little bit more blended. From this stage, we want to just make it a little smoother. So now I'm going to just gradually pulse and then let it stay on. And after just a few touches of that, I'm going to add some red wine vinegar. This is going to give it that little slightly sour acidic flavor to just balance out the sweet of the raisin and the smokiness of the pepper. A couple more pulses. We're ready to go. We will be plating this up, and I'll show you how you can serve our charred pepper dip. So we've plated our finished charred pepper dip, and as you can see, I've added a few things that would be appropriate to serve with it. We are putting some fresh carrots, some celery sticks, and then I have some freshly baked French bread, and that is going to be how you can think about serving this. Now, just to give you a little history, why do we do dip? Well, dips are extremely popular in America. In fact, it was the Lipton company that started it back in the 1950s when they had their little packet of flavoring that they introduced as a dip. And that started the whole rage. So in America, dips are extremely popular for many different occasions. But as we approach our holiday celebrations, our football season, our hockey season here, baseball season, whatever, we always have dip. So as an exception to using dip and chip, you can think about putting out vegetables, you can put out breads, crackers, whatever your heart desires. I will tell you that I love to keep the extra, and what I do is just store it in a simple storage container. It will keep to up to a week, and sometimes more depending on your the volume in your refrigerator. But I love to put this on hamburgers, sausage. There's just so many uses for it. And another thing to keep in mind is you can get little tiny jars, and you can jar this and give it as gifts. For a hostess gift, it's perfect, or even as a holiday gift. So let's get into the sampling. And today we're going to provide a sample to our friend Terry here, who is going to give us his opinion on our charred pepper dip.
Tasty.
So we have our capers in there, our red wine vinegar, our charred peppers. We've added in some of our fresh oregano, all combined together to make this scrumptious dip.
Very, very tasty.
Great. So there you have it, an easy to fix dip that you can serve many different ways, including on your favorite sandwiches, burgers, and chicken. This is Donna from Smokin'Licious in Olean, New York in America, wishing you happy food hunting this holiday season.